How's it going, everybody? It is July 15th, 2018, and today we're going to be talking about Yellowstone and the Steamboat Geyser. Before we get into it, I'm going to do this a little different. I'm going to start writing stuff down on Notepad and kind of give you just the certain questions I'm going to talk about and certain things I'm going to touch on while we're going over it. So I'm going to start this. I'm going to do this video as if maybe you're completely new to Yellowstone, or maybe you have just a very limited understanding of it. I'm going to try to give you just some more information that could help you to keep up with my future videos and other YouTube creators' videos and whatever you may see on TV about Yellowstone. So, Yellowstone is our first national park, but it's also known as it's also known as a supervolcano. The term supervolcano is given to volcanoes that are able to generate an 8+ on the Volcano Explosivity Index. There's enough magma inside Yellowstone's chamber to fill the Grand Canyon 11 times over. So this clip I'm about to show you on YouTube from Mega Disasters was aired in 2006. And before I really tell you why I'm showing this, I'm going to see if you can pick up on it yourself. And yeah, we'll just go from here.
What concerns geologists is when a center of earthquake activity overlaps an area of shifting terrain. At the Norris Geyser Basin, that seems to be what's happening.
Okay, now before we continue, Norris Geyser Basin. Does that ring a bell? Have any of you heard of Norris Geyser Basin? Well, it's known as a weak spot at the Yellowstone volcano because of where it sits. But as I said, back to the question, do you know any geysers are located there? Well, you should, because it's Steamboat Geyser. Okay? So this was an area they were concerned about in 2006 of where it would show increased activity because it's a weak spot. What do we have all of a sudden in 2018? What geyser have we heard more about than any other geyser? Steamboat Geyser. And it's located right here in Back Basin, right up there. It's right in, it's almost in the middle of it. But here it is right here on the map. So let's go back to the clip.
There are dozens of fault lines at this spot.
That's very critical because if magma is starting to move up, we would expect to see a bulging in an area and associated earthquakes as the ground starts to crack.
The fear is faults that make up the earthquake zone could crack under pressure from the magma below, releasing an eruption. Geologists are also watching the park's geysers, hot springs, and mud pots, looking for drastic changes in temperatures and chemical content.
Okay, so, and that is one thing we're going to do as well. That's what we're going to start checking on, and I want to give that information to you so you know what to look out for as well. Okay? We're going to look at some, so as I said, here's Norris Geyser Basin. Here's Steamboat Geyser's location. Here's a little information on Steamboat Geyser itself. It started, I don't know when exactly it started erupting, but the track here on Wiki from June 4th, 1990 all the way up to September 3rd, 2014 it was about 11 times, and it seems like it may have went dormant, and it started acting up again in March 15th of 2018, and has continued onwards. It's July 6th. It was the last time it erupted, so it's erupting more than it did in that time span. So it's something you should be concerned about, or at least be looking at the least. What signs did the geologists mention that could lead to an eruption? Ground deformation and increased seismic activity, as well as increased geyser activity, hot spring, and mud pot temperature levels. Okay, what is the average temperature, lake water temperatures in Yellowstone? The hottest pools in the park are no more than 200 degrees, and most ranging between 140 and 170 degrees. In comparison, the recommended temperature for a home hot water heater is no more than 120. Okay, so now that I provided that to you, so when you go to USGS, they'll give you this. You're able to track the seismicity, the tilt tracks, the temperature outputs. You get all types of tools. So now you can kind of see what's going on in certain areas. So where it's peaking, where it's dropping. You need to find on the map the Steamboat Geyser's location. This video, I'm going to do another video tomorrow of actually tracking in depth of the Yellowstone, the Geyser Basin, and stuff like that. This was to raise awareness of what's going on. You know, I wanted to show that video especially because they talked about in 2006 that area being a weak area. In 2018 now, we're experiencing a lot of activity over there, and especially by Steamboat Geyser, which is almost in the middle of Norris Geyser Basin. Okay, so it's something you should take into consideration. This is an interactive 3D earthquake viewer. I thought it's kind of a good tool, and I'm just going to do another mark real quick, and I'll leave this link so you can kind of get a different visual of earthquakes. This gives the depth, so if you kind of look at it like this, so you want to line this up with that, and you kind of get a good area of where it's happening. You kind of mess with it. It's kind of fun. Pull this up a little bit, drop new markers, and then you go down here, set your earthquakes. It tells you the magnitude levels, so light blue and green are going to be your ones and twos, and like I said, you want to make sure you tweak everything, the start time, the end time, so you can get proper readings. So we'll go ahead and plot the earthquakes now from where I just moved it. Scoot it back a little bit. So as you see, it's really interesting, and this is something I feel like will be handy to those who want to use something like this. But also use the USGS. Try to do the temperature readings that you can. The GPS, I've noticed that they've updated a lot of these GPS readings, so that's good. They're giving us tools now. I'll make sure this one's up to date. Now see, this is one thing I complained about. When I started looking at some of these tools, if they date 2017, it's completely useless. And this is one of the ones that would be important because it's in the middle of the park. But here's one that's 2018. So some of them may be broken and they're still trying to replace. The majority of them, though, that I've clicked on have been replaced and are working now, so it's really good. Last thing I wanted to read was the most recent report, and it's not much to read. It was posted July 2nd, Monday of 2018. So just saw 3 additional water eruptions of Steamboat Geyser on June 4th, 11th, and the 15th. Scientists were actually present to witness the activity on June 4th and the 15th. The scientists on June 4th were removing 28 portable seismometers from around the geyser. Those sensors were installed in early May and recorded 4 steamboat eruptions. The University of Utah scientists leading the project hope to use the data to better understand the plumbing system beneath Steamboat and why the geyser and others like it behave in an intermittent fashion. So that's good. There's been increased activity and seismicity, but of course they really don't understand why, and that's the stance they've taken on all this. I figured with as much money as they're getting and as much tools they have at their hands, and if you noticed, I mean, I don't get it. How can our government say we're ready to go to other planets, we're ready to take on space, but we can't even map our ground properly? We don't even know what's going on a couple miles underneath our surface, yet we think we can. You know, I mean, I don't want to go off on this trail, but that's just how I feel. Like, I mean, they almost always take the stance of either we haven't mapped it properly, or we didn't know, or we didn't have good enough tools to map it now, but now we can see that we were wrong. Stuff like that. So always take what the USGS says with a grain of salt, because it could erupt tomorrow, and their excuse would be, well, we didn't know, we didn't have it mapped properly. You know, which fair enough, maybe they don't, but they also try to come off as sometimes as they're positive this can't happen. You know, it's a 1 in 1 million chance this will happen, and then it happens, and you know, that type of stuff. So I'm going to end the video here. I just wanted to bring this clip to your attention because I thought it was kind of crucial. I haven't actually heard much mentioned about the Norris Geyser Basin of where the Steamboat Geyser is actually located and be connected with this video with mega disasters. So I said I want to just bring this to your attention. Expect another video tomorrow over it. And I'm out, guys. Have a great day.